Well, it's the next day, and as you can tell, we're fixing to get a nice storm. Lots of thunder in the background. So I'm not going to be able to take the mechanism out and give it a second cleaning as I had anticipated. But that's okay. We have something else to do. Brendan, my electronics mentor, wants me to check out the transformer on the Tormat. So that's what I'm going to do. Which means this little puppy is going to have to be moved to the side to make room. This is our Tormat, and this is the transformer that Brendan wants me to check out. And for those of you who have been paying attention to the comments, reading, just kind of scan down the comments from time to time, you may have run into the discussion by some of our subscribers about the 6X4, which is this thing right here, okay? Right off the transformer. If this puppy were to short the ground and take out this transformer, it's not like I can get another one of these real easy. So that's why we're very concerned about this thing right here, and we're going to do something about that. Some people say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't want to wait until it breaks. Okay? If it takes this thing out, it could cost me a bundle of money that I don't need to be paying if I can do it with just a few cents right now. So anyway, let's flip this baby over and take a look at the underside and compare it to our schematic over here to see what we've got. Well, here's where all the wires come out of that transformer right here. There's a hole here and a hole there, and there's a bunch of wires that come out of there. Now, there's so many wires coming out of that transformer. Let's find out. Well, here's why. We have our primary right here of 117 volts, and we have, look at all these individual windings on the secondary. We have 4 individual windings, and the different voltages. Note the different voltages. 4 individual windings, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the rest are tapped windings, okay? So now you see why this thing would be very, very difficult to replace. That you just can't get another one. This is one of those real unobtainiums as far as anything new goes. Might be able to scrounge one out of a used unit, but you can bet it wouldn't be a giveaway price. So now my job is to try to figure out all this crap, ohm out every one of these. Ohm out the primary, that's not too difficult, but ohming out the secondary, that's, now this CR501 is this selenium rectifier right here. I believe that's CR501 right there. Anyway, let me on the schematic it shows, the different colors of the different wires. We've got let's take a look here. We got blue and brown, and then blue and yellow and white and red, blah blah blah. Well, guess what? None of those colors are there anymore. They've faded out over the years. They all pretty much look the same actually, and it did get wet in the flood. That's what a lot of this white stuff is on here, is residual crap. I'll have to clean up that. Man, that didn't look too well. I guess it's okay. It's just discolored. It looked like a burn mark there for a minute, just printing right there. Anyway, let me eyeball this thing a little better. All these caps got to go. Look how nasty they are. This thing is a mess, but we'll make it better. Right now, let me eyeball everything, do a few checks, and sort of get my bearings on how I'm supposed to do this. I'll tell you what, before we actually do our first reading here, let me check the rain here, see if the rain, I gotta get some yard work done today. I don't know. Oh man, look at that. Oh, I'm gonna have to stay in the shop all day. What a bummer. I've decided to make this video as much as I can about the checkout of the power transformer. And I want to go into a few details for our young guys, the guys that don't do this very often. We're lucky in a way because we have 2 ways. I haven't had this happen before, but we have 2 ways to check out whether or not this winding in the primary is good. We can go ahead and hook up our multimeter to the power cord right here. Just hook it across there, and if we get continuity, we're good. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and do that now. Let me go ahead and hook this up. And there's one end, and then I'll hook. Well, let me get it set up here. Alright, I've got the black multimeter lead connected through a gator wire to one side of the plug, and what I'm going to do is just go ahead and touch this. Now, I'm going to use my analog meter today instead of the digital. There are two kinds of meters, you know. I used to use an analog a lot when I worked on my cars. Now I'm going to go ahead and touch that other blade on the power cord. Watch what happens. Here goes, touch. Alright, the primary read's good. Alright, we're good to go. Now what's the other way of checking this thing out? Well, we could have, let's say the cord was missing and we want to check it out. Another way we can do this is just follow it down. This is not, I know this looks complicated, but it's really not. Just one side of the primary comes down, comes all the way down, and then it turns right, goes across to one side of the fuse right there. Okay? One side of F105, the fuse. Now the other side, keep this camera focused. I think my camera's about on its last legs, but we'll keep doing the best we can here. The other side comes all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, comes across, comes down, 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 over to pin 10 on this plug, J502, pin 10. Well, let's find J502 and find the fuse. Alright, this is J502 right here. This thing here is just a plug. It's just a thing on the other side where one of these round plugs plug into. And pin 10 is this little silver dot here. It's kind of interesting, huh? The fuse is over here, right here. And we're going to be testing from this point right here to that point right there, as per the schematic. So let me hook up my gator wire. Alright, again, let's say the power cord was missing or fried and you couldn't figure out what wire was wire. It was all melted together or something, and you wanted to test out your primary. We got it hooked to one side of the fuse right there. This side has green wires, and there's nothing on the schematic that says anything about green wires. It's this wire down here. And now we take our other lead and we will touch it to, where is that thing? Right there. We're going to touch it to that one that has that sort of white mark there. Now I'm going to go ahead and touch it, and you watch the meter here. Look at there. See there? Two ways to check out that primary. The primary is good, or at least it ohms out good. Okay. Let's try the secondary side. That's going to be a real booger. Right off the bat, after checking the primary out on the power transformer, I decided to check the filament, this filament winding right here, right off at the top. This one right here, 6.3 volts. It's a filament winding. And if you follow the lines out, it comes up here to this pin, which is located on connector J509. Okay? This is pin right here, pin 6. Comes across just like so. Well, first thing we need to do, of course, is hook one of our multimeter leads to pin 6 of J509. You all agree with that? Well, guess what? I want you all to pay attention. Hang with me on this because you're going to learn something about schematics and wiring and components and things. Those of you who are, you're not really good at schematics, this would cause you tremendous problems. J509. Well, where is J509? We got 4, 3, 1, 2, 7, 11. We have 506, 552, 551. And over here on the side it says J508 down there. That's it right there. Here's J510. Where is J509? There is no J509. But the schematic says it's supposed to be there. I mean, it's very clear. And apparently it's supposed to be somewhere associated with the pulse amplifier. See these dotted lines around here? That's the pulse amplifier, a 12AX7. Well, where is this J509? This is bugging me, bugging me, bugging me. Well, what do we do now? We can't find it, but we have to check out that winding. We can't just ignore it. I guess we could, but we're not going to. What do we do? Well, stand by. I'm going to show you. According to the parts list, which is one page over from the schematic, J509 is a 6-prong socket, a small one. Well, it must be there then, but where is it? I don't know. Let's keep digging. Well, we can't find the J509, so we're going to have to do this another way. Let's take one of this line right here, all coming off the winding that we need to check. Let's come on across. It goes up into that J509 here, but it also comes down and goes through R526 over to pin 2 or 4 on this variable this voltage regulator tube A02. It's voltage regulator number 502. Do that again. It comes across. It goes up into that plug we can't find, and it also comes down and goes through this resistor. Now I looked up that resistor on that same parts list that showed the plug being small 6-prong. It's a 180K resistor, so it should go through the resistor over to pin 4. Now there should be a 180K resistor connected to pin 2 or 4 of this regulator. Now look, I'm just trying to find this J509 right now, because once I do, the rest will be easy. It's got to be there somewhere. So I've got the Tormat upside down. Let's go to this VR502 and see if we can find a 180K resistor coming off pin 2 or 4. Alright, this is the bottom of a VR502, the voltage regulator tube, and pin 4 is that pin right there, okay, with the red wire connected to it. Now if you look around, coming off that pin, I don't see any. There's no 180K resistor coming off there. It's just a wire. And it runs on up into the chassis here. Now at this point, you know, even if you got this far, most young guys would go, I don't understand this, I give up. I can't figure this out. It's supposed to be a resistor there. It's not. It's just a stupid wire. This is really frustrating. Don't be giving up. Don't be quitting. Ugh. We do not quit. We keep going. According to the schematic, there's supposed to be a 180K resistor on that thing, but all there is a wire. Well, what do? Well, we follow the wire out. That's what we do. We just don't throw up our hands and snivel. No. We get down there, we follow that wire out. Okay, now that wire, as you can see, goes up in through here. And if you follow it all the way through, it takes you up to this pin right here. There's the red wire coming into that pin right there. Now what do you see this is a terminal strip. What do you see connected to that pin? A 180K resistor. See there, the schematic shows it being right off the pin. It should be connected right off, but it's actually way up here. So let's go back to our schematic. We found our one side of our 180K resistor. Let's go back to the schematic and see where the other side goes. Okay, we came off of pin 4 up to this side of the, look, that little short line on that schematic was that great big long wire. We're right here at one side of this resistor. Now we're going to go down through the resistor, and coming out the other side, it will take us up to J509. Let's see what comes off the other end of that resistor. Alright, coming off the other end of the resistor, here's the red wire coming in one side. The other end of the resistor has a white wire. Well, we use the same thing we did over here. We trace that wire out. Where does that wire go? That wire goes up, around, and it comes in right here. Right there. A 6-pin socket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A 6-pin plug is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, that is J509. Now, wasn't that easy? So why couldn't we find J509? I'll tell you why. Because it's underneath this thing right here, which is called the pulse amplifier. It's underneath down here in the bottom. Whew. Oh, success. Don't you just love detective work? Okay, let's go ahead and connect our multimeter on. We'll have to flip this thing back over, of course. Let's connect our multimeter to pins. Let me zoom in here now for you. We're going to connect our multimeter to pins 1 and 6. And then that should tell us whether or not this coil is good in that transformer. Pins 1 and 6 coming up. I'll tell you what, maybe we better not pat ourselves in the back too quickly here, okay? According to the schematic, pin 1 and 6 will take us through that coil right there. But if you look on the bottom of the plug, none of those pins are labeled. So what do we do now? Unfortunately, none of these things have even one number on it. I wish it did. It would have made life a whole lot easier. But it's pretty much like a tube socket, okay? Now, according to the schematic, that white wire we just ran into this, we just traced up into this plug. According to the schematic, that's going to be pin number 1. Alright, now, if that's the case, then that would be 1, let me see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And according to the schematic, pin 6 is where the other half of that filament winding is connected. And if you look at those two wires, they even look the same. See? This one and this one, they even look the same. So let's go ahead and hook up our multimeter. Between 1 and 6, according to the schematic, we should have some kind of a continuity there. Okay, instead of hooking the multimeter down in there with the gator wire to that pin, I just hooked it up over here. It's the same place. It's the wire that goes around and comes out right here. It's that white wire. So now all we have to do, I've got my multimeter set up. All I got to do is touch this one right here, and I should get a reading. So let's get over here and watch. I should get some kind of a reading. Here we go. Touch. Look at there. We're good. Good coil. Good coil. Move on to the second one. Just to make sure you understand what happened here, you know, we ran into a dead end. I'll go over it real quick. Like, we ran into a dead end here because we couldn't find this J509. So all we did was back up, regroup, and attack it from a different direction. That's all we did, and we still wound up at the 2 points we needed to be at. Patience, a little logic, a little common sense, and an ability to follow a line on a piece of paper. That's all there is to this stuff. The rest of these windings are going to be a piece of cake. That was the hardest one of the bunch. The rest just go straight down to the various plugs that are, you know, labeled on the top of the chassis. And all I have to do is stick my multimeter here and there and wherever. I'll do one more for you, just to show you how easy it really is. This one right here is a, let me zoom in here, is a 25 and 155 volt. It's tapped in the center. We'll measure both of these at once. One line comes down over the pin right here. That's pin 2. What is that? That's pin, yeah, pin 2 on J502. So I'll be putting one of my multimeter leads right there. And the other one, which is the bottom half, the bottom part, comes down, 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 down. It comes over and down. Connects to pin, what is that there? That's pin 6 of J501. So all I have to do is put one multimeter lead there and one multimeter lead there on the two on the top. And the two sockets that are labeled on the top is 501 and 502, and I should get continuity. Let's get that set up. Alright, I've got my negative multimeter lead hooked to pin 6 on the 501, which is right there. And now I'll touch pin 2 on the 502, and you watch the old meter. Get that thing in focus for you. Alright, all we're looking for is a meter movement here. Pin 1, pin 2. Look at there. Good coil. Fortunately, you know, on the bottom of these sockets, there again, our Seeburg boys came through good. Every one of these pins is numbered, so it was easy to find which one was which. But if you don't know what it is, that key right there is where you start from. When you're on the bottom, you go clockwise. So from that little key, let me zoom in and show you the key I'm talking about. It's just a slot. It's just nothing but a tube socket, but they're using them for plugs. So this would be from the key, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? And 9. And then over here it's the same way. Now you don't have You don't have a key here per se, but each of these is clearly marked. There's 4, 5, 6. They're easy to find, alright? But that's it. We'll call that, well, I'll just go ahead and finish out. We'll call that part finished to show you how to do it, and I'll finish homing out the rest. Well, I'm happy to report that all windings in that transformer at least ohm out. They show continuity, so nothing is open. Big load off our minds. I know Brendan's going to be very happy to hear that, because he's been wanting me to do that for a couple of days now. I've been, occupied doing other things. The one thing I want you to gain from all of this jazz is, first of all, never give up on yourself. Don't give up. Just because it's not easy the first, second, or even third time doesn't mean a thing. Go get a Coke or a beer and come back and try it again. Take your time. You'll get it. Practice makes perfect. And another thing I want you to understand, that just because it shows 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch on a schematic, that doesn't mean much, because this item that's 1/4 of an inch from that item on the schematic, one could be at one end of the chassis and the other end could be the other. Okay? The length of the lines on the schematics do not correspond to the length of the wires in the chassis, and vice versa. Alright? Well, we're going to go ahead and knock this one off right now. I'm going to go get some breakfast, and we'll just end the whole video and come back later. Until next time, this is John.